Well, thanks, Josh, for getting a hold of me and asking me about speaking. I honestly have not spoken for 2 years, so I'm a little bit rusty. I have a lot of good things, a lot of great things to say. Some of you might have heard me speak before, may not cover what you heard. I've been in my chair now for 42 years, sitting on my butt doing nothing. Thank you for all the volunteers that made this possible. I see a lot of helpful people. It's good to have servants that take care of the breakfast and make it nice for you. Probably should give it up for them. You guys like that. Well, I've been having some hard times lately. Seems like all my life my luck's been down. I'm getting kind of weary. I guess I was born to be unlucky from my shoulders to my shoes, and somehow I got stuck with these unlucky blues. I don't have one friend. Folks turn their back when I'm around, and where I roll, it's like the grass turns brown. No one will come near me. Well, that's okay, because I went down the river, tried to put myself away. The dude jumped in to save me. Spoiled my perfect day. That's a joke. It's like that's the way I've been feeling. Oh man, I'll tell you, life happens. And I know one thing. When I woke up this morning, I said, I'm alive, I'm breathing. It's going to be a good day. Somebody else had to bathe me in my bed and dress me and put my clothes on, lift me up out of my bed, stick me in a wheelchair. Here I am in my metal monster, my chariot. And somebody else brushed my teeth, combs my hair, shaves my face, feeds me, gives me a drink of water. All day long, 24/7, my body sits motionless. Seems like it should move. And I can't feel it. It's tingling, numb. It fell asleep 42 years ago. It's like I travel around my head on a dead body. Kind of freaks me out. From the neck up, dude, I'm a man, I'm arrogant. But from the neck down, I'm a baby, and I'm a needy guy. And I might poop myself, which I have done that before. I pray to God I don't poop myself right now in front of you. But I could. There is that chance. I told the Lord, I'll speak, but just please, can you keep my bowels from happening during a speech? I mean, that seems like a legitimate request from God. Not make my day great, just don't let me poop my pants. So I had this perfect opportunity. It was a dream of mine. I was young and played football, went to Central Lynn High School. Yeah, Central Lynn High School. Most of the time I say that, nobody knows what I'm talking about. Nobody knows where Brownsville, Oregon is. I grew up in Brownsville, Oregon. And you know something? I got the opportunity to speak to the Green Bay Packers. I'm a cheesehead because I was born in Wisconsin. My dad packed up the family. We moved here when James River opened up. I don't know what it's called now. It's changed a lot of names. Maybe Pope and Talbot out there in Halsey or Oregon, big mill. And Dad came out in 1968 when that opened up out there in the middle of hay fields out there, right? And so that's when I started my life on Kirk Avenue in Brownsville, Oregon. So to be able to go finally, after all these years, and speak to the Green Bay Packers, I'm like, this is great. My buddy, he brought me there. He set me up. We spoke 9 times to different schools, and I was ending my trip there in Green Bay with a speech to the Green Bay Packers. What an opportunity. So we went to this restaurant, and they were going to come into this room in this hotel. And I told my buddy, he's 6'8", 300 pounds, 6'8". He's big. He eats a lot. One of my mistakes was that I agreed to pay for his food on this trip. So we went to Subway. That's where we ate. You can buy a foot long, and that's all I can afford. So this night there at the hotel, getting ready for the Green Bay Packers speech, I said, you just order what you want. In fact, let's order prime rib. Let's eat up. So we did, and we were chowed down there on that prime rib. It was great. And all of a sudden, I felt this little grumbling feeling. And he looks at me, he goes, what's the matter? I go, And before I could tell him, he smelt it. He goes, dude. I'm like, yeah. Oh, dude, what are you going to do? You got to speak in 10 minutes. I'm dumping a good load right there in my I don't have no diapers on. I looked at him, I said, you know, I've been waiting a long time for this moment. And I think the devil wants me not to speak to the Green Bay Packers. So I'm gonna speak to the Green Bay Packers with a load in my pants. I'm pooping on the Packers. He says, you can't do that, man. You really stink. We're going to be in a small room, man. I said, well, you got any aftershave in the van? He goes, what for? And I said, well, I'm going to squirt down real good. And that was a mistake. It smelled like the sweet and sour poo. So I smelled really bad, worse than an outhouse sitting out there in a field for 20 days. I got into the room and sitting up there. It's difficult to concentrate when you smell so bad. They came in, and they're big. They sat around in this room, and Coach Mike was there, and he brought his daughter, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I brought the daughter. So I spoke. And I told them at the end, I had a great speech. I saw the guys kind of looking at each other, blaming each other for farting. And I'm like, yeah, he's the one farting. This stinks here. You guys farting in here? You know? Anyways, they made a rule that I couldn't ask for autographs. And so I said, well, that's great. I'm glad you have that rule because I'm not going to autograph my book for these guys either. And I got through my speech, and at the end I said, you know, things happen in life. Accidents happen in life. Pain and problem, paralysis, loss of life, loss of relationships. You know, people look at me and they see my disability, and I got more than what you see. And they go, wow, dude's all messed up. He's strapped in, tied down, paralyzed. And I look back at you or them, these guys paid millions of dollars, and I see that hey, what's your disability? Because everybody's got them. We don't want people to see them. I just happen to wear mine on the outside. But what would it be like if you said, hey, this is my disability? What's that emotional wheelchair look like, or that psychological wheelchair, or spiritual wheelchair, or relationship wheelchair? Or you just say, I can't too much, or you're letting your mind slip and you're focusing on the problem and the pain and the paralysis, and your eyes are down. And you let the poop stop you from moving forward. And I was leaving that place as quick as I could, as soon as I was finished, so I could go get my hind end cleaned up. And I'm rolling down and the guy comes running after me. His name was Kabir. And he stops me. He says, I need to talk to you. I said, well, I'm pretty stinky. You don't want to get too close to me. He gets down on his knees right there, big old guy, tight end, I think. And he put his arm on my tray and he looks me right in the eyes. He goes, dude, your speech changed my whole attitude. And I go, oh, really? He's talking about how his life kind of got messed up, lost focus. And we all do that. There's none of us that are sin-free. Oh, there's things in my life I wish I would have not done. But I know one thing the Bible tells us to do is to strive forward, leaving behind the past, moving forward. The earth is turning and we're going forward. Why do we look backwards in the rear view mirror and see all the problems and the pain, the stupid things we've done? And it just stops us. Are we rendered inoperable? Can we not serve the Lord if we go through a divorce? Well, I've been through divorce. You make a business mistake. Oh, yeah, I've been there. Yeah. Got in a fight with your family and got a hateful attitude that you got to get rid of. Maybe you're just full of anger. Time to let it go and move on. I can't guarantee that I'll ever walk again, but I know that I can live this life with the attitude of gratitude because I am in control of that one thing. I don't have much control over most things in my life. If I do something and I get a great idea, I got to have a hand, someone else to be my avatar. And I had some great visions in my life, and I've had a lot of good people help me. And I had dreamed up this thing called Camp Attitude, and it happened because God gave me the vision, and people came and they put their hands together, and it got done. And then in the end, I took the pride way. I started going, look what I did here. Come on up and see this camp. Hey, see what I did over there? It was about God when he gave me the dream, and then it became about me. I just want to tell you, the Bible where it says pride comes before the fall is so true. And I had to give up my baby, this Camp Attitude. And God was working on my heart for a long time to resign and just give it up. I said, God, but this is something that I dreamed up that you put in my head. And about the time I was obedient and resigned myself from that, my wife at the time got pregnant by me with my daughter, who is now 17 years old. Beautiful girl, flesh of my flesh. And in spite of all the things that we do, God still can use us. So I want to focus for the next few minutes about the word life, L-I-F-E, because I'm tired of hearing about death. I'm tired of hearing about the darkness and the negativity. It seems like we're all broken up and separated from our families. But life is from God. He gives life. And not just life, what? He can give us the abundant life. Really? Because that's what I want. What is the abundant life? Trust in God. The first letter of life, L, love. You see, the Bible says, 1 Corinthians 13, that if I speak with the tongues of men and the angels, but do not have love, I am a clanging cymbal or a banging gong, just making noise. And if I have the gift of prophecy and I understand all knowledge and, oh yeah, I'm just so smart, but do not have love, it profits me nothing. And if I sacrifice my body, but do not have love, I am nothing. And I just see in our world today, and I pray that I get full of it, is love. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Is this easy to do? No. After 42 years sitting in my wheelchair. See, the guy came up to me after I gave a speech 25 years ago. So I was in my chair. Well, I was paralyzed 25 years. I gave a speech to like this great big group of, I don't know, maybe Amway or something. And they're all fired up. It's fun to talk to them. And he says, how long did you say you were in your chair? And I said, 25 years. He goes, well, I'm a neurosurgeon. And I go, oh, okay. He goes, for a high-level quad, because high-level, I can't move my arms at all, I can't move my legs at all, life expectancy is max 15 years. I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't meet you 10 years ago. I would have had to die. Well, there you go, 42 years later. You see, I was driving down the road that day. It was a perfect day. I got the bro in the car, didn't want to talk to him. Had my Volkswagen Baja Bug, 1969 Volkswagen Baja Bug. Okay, now that was a cool car. I Baja'd it out a little bit. And my buddy, he had a 67 Camaro. Yeah, and so we kind of messed around, and I went to the high school at Central End, and he'd stop in the parking lot and just light them up, and the smoke come out, and everybody's like, dude, that's cool. And then I got my little 4-cylinder Volkswagen Baja Bug, and I could, and he's like, so I pulled the cool one, man. I was like, and I hit the speed bump just right, and pulled the wheelie, because of the Baja Bug. I took all the fenders off and everything, and everybody's like, whoa, he did a wheelie. But I thought my Baja Bug was really cool, and I put all my time on all the money I made. I worked for a farmer, the Keens out in Halsey, bucked some hay and played football and wrestled and got up to I'm 6'3", so about 200 pounds, and thought I was getting so cool. I could bench 300 pounds. And started looking in the mirror, because that's the way you lift weights, right? You look in the mirror. So you can see them muscles growing. And, I became pretty arrogant. I was fullback and making touchdowns and thinking, man, I'm just doing really well. got a girlfriend, a car, a family, and boom. So it was spring vacation, my senior year. I decided to go to Southern California to, spring break, Southern California, Huntington Beach, surf's up. Yeah, so I'm driving down the road with my brother sitting in the car. I'm ticked off because my parents made me take my 13-year-old brother to Southern California on spring vacation. Dude, that is not cool. I'm 17, he's 13. He is not cool. Well, I worked my brother over. That's why he asked me if he could go. I said, absolutely not. And he begged and pleaded, and I said, I'll tell you what, you go wash and wax my car, clean my room, and do my chores for the next week. I'll think about it. He was stupid. He did it all. And it was over. He came up to me, goes, hey, what do you think, Ron? I said, wow, you even shined up my wheels. Had these chrome wheels. I said, but, not this time, okay? So he got mad, and he's 5 foot, I'm 6'3", and he goes to my dad. Well, my dad's bigger than me. I hate it when that happens. The dad walks up, he goes, what'd you do to your brother? What? What? You know that. He goes, you make him do a bunch of chores and stuff? I said, yeah, but he did it on his own accord. Yeah, but he did it because you said you might take him with you. I said, well, he goes, I'll tell you what, you won't be going without your brother. Oh, man, you can wreck my life. I'd take my brother. I don't know my brother. So I'm driving down the road. I got Garfield sitting over there. I wanted to smack him in the head. I told him that too. So we're driving. Don't talk to me either. I'm driving all the way down from Oregon to Huntington Beach in my Baja Bug. And you know something? I got about Bakersfield area and I got bored to tears. Because there's nothing but just nothing out there. Driving forever. So I started talking to my brother. He started telling me things about his life I didn't know. We started to have a little deeper, a little under the surface conversation, which is like so ironic. I don't even know my brother. I have no idea what he likes, what he thinks, what he's going through. I didn't know how to talk. How does a guy talk to another guy? And, give him a little punch, tell him he's cool. Well, he told me some things that were like not cool. And I said, dude, you're not thinking about doing that stuff, are you? He goes, well, these are my friends. He's 13 years old. I'm thinking, what kind of friend are going to take you down with that sort of action? That's not a friend. I said, why didn't you ever tell me about these things? He goes, Ron, I tried talking to you so many times. You're so proud and arrogant and stuck on yourself. You don't care about anybody but yourself. Now, normally I'd smack him in the head with that kind of a statement, but it just like went straight to my heart. So I said, here, shake my hand. He goes, what's that for? I'm still driving, and he shook my hand. I did not know that would be the last time I'd shake somebody's hand. Feel that tight, warm grip of another person. I said, that's to guarantee you that I'll be there for you because I don't want you messing up your life. He looks at me, he goes, I'll be there for you too, Ron. I said, no, I won't be needing you, but that's cool. Because, don't think that you're going to hang out with me all the time and stuff. That's not happening because this is just like me going to be there for you. Okay. So we drive to the beach the next day. I parked my car in the sand because that's what you do with a Baja Bug. There's a curb. I went over it because I could. Anyways, I stepped out of my car into the sand. I remember how warm it was. The surf right there by the pier. I looked out across the ocean. Wow, it's March 17th. This is awesome, bro. I looked at my brother. We made eye contact. We kind of stared at each other for 1 second. And I felt this little nudge. Tell your brother you love him. I can't say that. I can't say that to my brother. I don't know how to tell a dude I love him. My dad wasn't very cool to me growing up. Pretty hard on me. I'm the oldest. I'm Ron Heagy Jr. He played football for the Badgers, and he could have went on to play professional, but he got married instead. And, that day, I got born, 1962. So I was going to pick up where he left off. But, something changed in my dad's life. When I was 16, he went to church, and he ended up coming back all freaking out that he'd found Jesus, and I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. And then I watched him for a while, and he had really changed, and it was like, wow. And he actually did tell me during that time that he loved me. And so here I am. I can't tell my brother I love him. And so I said, let's just hit the beach. So we're surfing for a while, wiping out, trying to get up on the board, wipe out, wipe out, wipe out. It's not easy to surf. So we laid in the sun for a while to kind of cool the body, and I remember thinking, man, I'm getting warm. And he was asleep, my brother, and I got up and walked to the water's edge. He's still laying on the towel. I saw a big wave coming in. Maybe that's the 7th big old wave, and I ran towards this big old wave. And as it's coming up higher and higher, I dove into it like you're supposed to. But I dove in a little too late, and I was forced by the water. Millions of gallons of water just came rushing down and dove into the waterfall. And it shoved me straight to the bottom, and right there was a sandbar. And my head hit it. Pile drove into the sand, and 200 pounds came crashing down, and my head snapped backwards into my shoulder blades, and it went crunch. And my body is like shut down. It was tingling everywhere. It was on fire. And I realized I cannot move. And I'm under the water. Mr. Independent. I don't need nobody. And I'm going out to sea, the undertow, I'm rolling. And I got 2 minutes, maybe max, in my lungs of life. It's funny, within that 2 minutes, 3 things went through my mind. You didn't tell your brother you loved him, and now you're going to die. I didn't tell my brother I loved him. And my mom, she asked me for a hug before I left, and I was mad at him. I had my attitude, and I said, "See ya, Mom." I didn't hug my mom goodbye. Now my arms will never wrap themselves around, for 42 years. I wish I would have hugged my mother goodbye. And the third thing was that you did nothing good with your life, Ron. You lived for yourself. I looked in the mirror after lifting the weights before we went to the beach. I remember looking straight into my eyes. I could see the body image, right? This vessel that holds my soul. And I remember asking myself, who are you? Well, I'm a football player. And that's the sport you play. Who are you? Well, an American? Who are you, Ron? Can answer the question. And now I'm floating out to sea. Oh, God. Of course, we call on God about that time, don't we? We wait till we're like drowning in the sea of our misery and everything else we do. We look so good on the outside. We got the big muscles, big car, big house, big what? Big nothing. We all will die. Every one of us in here, probably within 50 years, will be gone. And the one thing we are guaranteed of is that there won't be any U-Haul behind the hearse that takes us to the grave. Nothing. You can't take anything. The only thing we do is help other people, our kids, our family, know God. For God is love. He that knoweth God knoweth love. For God is love. If you don't have love, are we filled with love? Would somebody look at you and say, Ron, you talk a big talk, but you don't have any love for anybody? It's easy to be judgmental. It's easy to those people and us. That's not that. Christ came that we might have life. He demonstrated love in his action. Christ-like. That's what I want to be like. Am I perfect? Not at all. So there my brother sat up on his towel. What's wrong with Ron? And all this stuff is in my autobiography, but it's pretty intense. He said he got up and he just went looking for me. He's 13 years old. He never saved anybody's life, and I'm floating out to sea. He got to me just in time. I'm under the water, and I'm hyperventilating. And I knew I was going to suck in the salt water and drown in that very same second that I'm going unconscious. Boom. He got my head out of the water. 200 pounds of dead weight floating. He shoves me to the surface, and I take a breath of air, and we go back under. He's struggling, fighting with the waves to get me to shore. I'm like, just let me go. I did not want to see us both drown, which has happened before. He finally got me to shore after about 20 minutes of struggle. He's yelling for help, and he's holding my body, and I'm too heavy for him to lift up. And my body is just, I don't know where it's at. My hand, I can feel his hand on my head. I said, Mike, set me up. I can't breathe. My lungs were shutting down. Everything was shutting down. That's why coronavirus will be bad for me. I can't cough. I have no stomach muscles to cough. I can't sneeze. So if I get the common cold, I just choke out and end up with pneumonia. Thank God he's been gracious to me in my health. And I remember looking him in the eyes. They're drifting a little bit in the water because he couldn't get me all the way out. And I said, hey, Mike, I don't know what I did, but I can't feel my body and I can't move anything. And he goes, so what's going on? And he's screaming for help. Finally, somebody called the ambulance. And in the few short moments before I passed out, I looked at him and I said, I got to tell you something, little brother. You've been a great little brother. Don't live your life like I did. and I love you. Mike. Mike Heagy is a great man, great guy, great person. He saved my life on that beach, and as a result of his action, I've been able to speak to a couple million high school students doing school assemblies over the last 20-some years. Who would have thought? The last thing I ever wanted to do, still don't, is be a public speaker. I don't like sitting in front of people. This feels like a high calling that I don't feel, you know what I mean? So he did save my life, and I remember going unconscious. I woke up in the hospital. The nurse was looking at me, and I was on life support. Came conscious, didn't have a clue what happened. She goes, "Do you know what day it is, Mr. Heagy?" And I says, "I don't know how long I've been unconscious." She said, "It's March 18th. I began to cry. Tears of all that emotion that I held back, because boys don't cry. I cried. She goes, "What's the matter?" And I go, "Today's my 18th birthday, ma'am. Today's my 18th. Welcome to your new life." I was almost a man. I could do whatever I wanted to, freedom with my body, and travel the world and climb the mountain. Now I'm paralyzed from the neck down. What you gonna do now, big man? You talk a big talk? Well, I got no plans for a wheelchair. I'll get better. Well, they came in, they did a tracheotomy, shoved a tube down into my lungs, hooked it up to a ventilator, and it breathed for me 24 hours a day. I couldn't even pull air in my lungs and breathe on my own. And because that thing was in my throat, I no longer could speak, because you have to have air coming out your mouth to talk. Try blowing all the air out of your lungs and speaking, you can't. And because this thing was blowing straight into my lungs, bypassed my mouth, I also could not taste. I lost 50 pounds within 1 month. I had a stress ulcer from being so anxious, stressed out. My head was in traction, and 50 pounds pulled on the end of a string that attached to my head. My mom and dad flew in. I looked at my mom. I wanted that hug. She hugged my body, and I couldn't feel her fingers touch my flesh. My daddy came over, kissed me on the forehead, and said, "Son, we're going to pray." I can tell you that was the word that I needed at that moment. There's not much you can do when your son's paralyzed. It's a pretty messed up thing. Your spinal cord is severed. Your brain cannot talk to your body. The nerves for movement are disconnected. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to get better. They flew me finally after isolation, and I ended up in Portland at the rehab. All right, let's get this body going. I need to get my arms back. I want to feed myself. Sad day came. They had a little meeting. Doctors and therapists and everybody came in. My parents sitting there beside me. I'm in this chair. They said, "Mr. Heagy, we're going to discharge you this next weekend. You're going to have to be going home. Your insurance will no longer cover therapy because you're not getting any better. You're going to have to get used to your new life, paralyzed from neck down." I said, "Excuse me? Can't you do something? Work, just my hands." I'm only 18 years old. No way, man. I'm done with this life. They put me to bed. I laid there in my misery. I started going down that black hole. Don't go there. And I was just so depressed. And I remember at midnight yelling at God, cussing, and just, I don't want to live. I got to figure out how to die. In the midst of that moment, darkness of that room, I heard a voice say my name, the Snow Kid. I heard it. Ron. Sniffed up my tears of pity. I looked over. It was coming from Jimmy. Jimmy was 8 years old. He had gotten hit by a car. He didn't wear his helmet, took it off when Mom wasn't looking, and he was brain damaged. And they put him in my room to be my roommate. I don't want to look at that kid. I'm having too many problems on my own. Please don't put him in here as my roommate. See that kind of attitude? Jimmy couldn't speak. They said he was a vegetable. But the vegetable is going to change my life. Giving up on my life, my thoughts are dark, and I said, Jimmy, you talking to me? He said my name. Ron. Yeah. I love you. You don't know me. You can't say that. He'll never be able to do what I've been able to do this time, 18 years of my life living recklessly and doing all. Yeah, he can't use his brain like I can. And he's telling me he loves me. Something's wrong with this picture. And then the lights came on in my head. You can still love and be loved. The L of life. Love. You can have your bad attitude and die here. Or you can focus on love. This kid told me he loved me and it changed my life. Nothing else did. No preacher, no parent, no card, nothing. It was that night with Jimmy, and he told me he loved me. I can still hear his words in the chambers of my mind echoing. And I left that hospital with a changed what? Attitude. And I realized that it's going to take some interdependence. I need others for everything. I need you, you need me. That's interdependence, not dependence, not independence. I need some interdependence. I want people that are going to join my team of life for Ron. Because I don't want to be looked at as the dependent one. He needs it all. Because we all are in this together. If I have a dream, you can help me get there. And if you got something, I can be there and give a good word. That's what I'm here for today, is just a good word. So the interdependence of life is so important. Oh, you men, imagine working together and not sitting at home, being stuck in yourself, doing things with this group, interdependent on each other. It can change the world. So that's the eye of life. And so when I'm sitting around feeling, what am I going to do? My boss walks up to me. She goes, "You're sitting around bored." I'm like, what can I do? Paralyzed from my neck down. I haven't even finished high school. She's like, well, you can just have some faith. Why don't we just be praying for you to have a little more faith in God for what he can do with you. There's the F in our word life, the interdependence and the faith. And she says, and if you do it with the right attitude, the enthusiasm, you get a little bit of enthusiasm. You look like you're eating a bunch of lemons all day long, Ron. Somebody said they were happy the other day. I was talking to a teenager, and I looked at him. His face was all screwed up. I said, "Are you happy?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm happy." "Are you really happy?" "Dude," I said I was happy. "Well, then you better tell your face about it, because they don't know you're happy." Some of us, we need to tell our face about our happiness. I mean, if we have the truth, if we do know God, if that's something that you experience in your life, it should put a smile on your face. So enthusiasm. And I used that when I went to college. With a stick in my mouth, I learned to type on a keyboard like a chicken. Got my way through a degree here at Lynn Benton Community College. And I said, well, I'm going to go on. Can't do much with the Lynn Benton Community College degree. So long story short, I graduated with a master's degree in social work at San Diego State University with my mouth stick. The newspaper came out, they did an article. I didn't ask them to, they just did. The San Diego Union, they did an article about me graduating. You know why? Because I went to the graduation and there was a stage where everybody's going to graduate. And I'd worked hard for 8 years of college with my mouth stick, typing my way through. And they go, "You gonna be okay?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "This is a rehearsal for our little graduation. 5,000 people are going to be here at San Diego State watching you guys graduate." And I'm like, well, where's the colleagues of mine going to be? Well, they're going to come up on the stage and stuff, get their diploma from the dean, you know. I said, well, then I won't be happy. And they go, well, what do you mean? What's the matter? I said, if you build it, I will graduate. What do you mean? If you build a ramp to the stage, I will be happy. They're like, well, gee, we're going to do it tomorrow, you know, ADA, well, that's going to cost us a lot of money. It cost me a lot of money to go to your school. If you build it, I will graduate. And they're like, oh, yeah. So I said, I have a master's in social work now. I'm trying to help you out here. I'm trying to tell you that there's a whole bunch of people out there, 60 million Americans that have disabilities, and you know we should include them too. Yeah, I love ramps. I said I want to call the newspaper. I did call the newspaper. Anyways, they came and I was scared. I pulled up in there that next day, and there it was, biggest, baddest ramp. Just for me. And you know something? When they called my name, I went up that ramp so slow. So slow. Just eating it up, you know. And everybody was quiet. It was a really weird moment. And I got up to the top, and they asked me if I wanted. There's a funny thing. I went up there, the dean, he goes to shake my hand. You know how they do that? Shake with the right hand, hand you the diploma. He goes to shake my hand, and I went, can't shake, but I can headbutt. So he gave me a little headbutt. I'm not headbutting today because coronavirus and everything. So the guy, he goes, you want to say something to the crowd? Because everybody was like, I said, no, I don't. I would counsel a kid or two because I have a social work degree to be a counselor in a high school, but I ain't talking to 5,000 people. And he goes, you need to say something. I said, it don't matter the circumstance, the situation, the problem, the past, or the pain. All my colleagues up here graduated. They overcame situations in their life too. One of my friends here was violated by her father growing up. Grew up with that. She overcame, and she's graduated. Another one of my friends, dad's in prison. You probably didn't know that. So I sit here, obviously, I had to have a ramp belt. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate them. And you're looking at me. I'm no different than anybody else. I just overcome a different problem. Let's overcome problems. Let's look up. Let's choose the right attitude. Let's live life to the fullest. Let's trust God. Let's grab a hold of your brother or tell him you love him. Go give your mom a hug. Make that call, that thing you need to do. How do you overcome your wheelchair today? I push forward this chair. I call myself roll on, Ron. Not roll off, because that would be bad. Not roll back, but roll on. Because I want to keep rolling on. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Humbly, well, Lord, I don't feel like I'm the guy to pray, but I just want to ask you to humbly accept us in our situation at this moment and look into my heart and see where I'm at. And just give me the strength to carry on and finding new caregivers to take care of me during the day and night. And also I ask for my brothers here and sisters that might be here, that you would show them, give them a fresh attitude. Remind them that we can do all things through Christ. Thank you, Jesus, for your example of how to live. May we focus on your love and be in fellowship, our interdependence with each other. And may this group gather around each other and support each other and send a little text once in a while to each other and encourage. We need encouragement, us men. We act so proud sometimes. And the men of America are struggling. And I pray for anybody who might be feeling a little dark and have some suicidal thoughts that they would talk to somebody. Because it happens among Christian men. And I just ask that you would fill us with faith, because faith doesn't disappoint us. A hope, if we don't have a hope, what do we have? I pray for the young people of this nation, that they would find our faces with smiles and our encouragement rather than discouragement. May we speak words positive, give them praise, and live life around them and with them. Thank you that we have LIFE, that we're alive today. Use us until we're done, and then we can all get to heaven where Ron Heagy will not be rolling. He's going to be running. And I got some catching up to do, Lord. So we love you in Jesus' name. Amen.